Aloha, I'm Brickwood Galutaria. Welcome to Kupuna Power, a show for and about seniors. As always, we display the senior helpline phone number, 768-7700. Today, we address a devastating disease assaulting our kupuna, a disease that robs our kupuna of their memories. We're talking about an identity thief of the mind, Alzheimer's disease. Right now, more than 5 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's. It's the sixth leading cause of death, killing more than the number of breast and prostate cancer patients combined. Here in Hawaii, there are 25,000 residents living with this disease. That number will rise to 29,000 by 2020 and continue to rise exponentially. Yet, there is hope. But we must first get over the shame of having Alzheimer's. We need to know the 10 warning signs of the disease so that we can get help right away. If detected early, Alzheimer's can be reversed for 9% of those diagnosed with the disease. Education is the key. Here to talk about Alzheimer's is Jody Mishan. Now, she's a coordinator from the State Executive Office on Aging, and we're happy to have her here. She's a dear friend of mine. Aloha, Jody. Welcome to Kupuna Power.
Hi, and congratulations for this wonderful show you're doing.
It's better now that you're here.
Oh.
Now, Jody's lived through a personal experience as well. She was her father's caregiver while he lived through this terrible disease. And based on your experience, Jody, why is it important that we destigmatize Alzheimer's disease?
Well, it's one of the most, actually the most feared disease. People fear it more than even cancer. This has been proven with studies worldwide. And it's important that we embrace people with dementia and treat them with dignity and respect. And also get the word out that it exists. It's touched all of us. I don't know if you've had experience in your personal life with friends or family,
Sure.
but almost everyone seems to have some knowledge of it, but it's sort of, you know, the people with dementia are isolated.
So Alzheimer's is a part of the dementia landscape.
Well, dementia is a condition where you lose cognitive ability, and Alzheimer's is one cause or one type of dementia.
Okay.
There are many other types of dementia with different causes, like Parkinson's disease can cause dementia, normal pressure encephalitis can cause dementia, there's frontotemporal, there's Lewy bodies dementia, but people diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it's about almost 80% or up to even 90%, 60 to 90% are Alzheimer's.
So so Alzheimer's disease is a part of a growing community, and it's about critical mass too, because more people are, you know, the percentage of kupuna, the silver tsunami that we like to say these days, a lot more numbers. So just in that, we want to learn more about this disease. When you were involved with your dad, now, what were the early signs? How did you, and thank you very much for engaging with us in this. If it's too painful, you let me know.
No, he passed in 2006, so I've recovered. And I think for the caregivers in the audience, when you care for somebody as long as I did, 8 years, there is a period of recovery for yourself, like almost post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Yeah.
I think that that's not paid attention to enough, that caregivers really sacrifice their whole life to care for someone, to be a primary caregiver. But the early signs that my father had, that if I had known what I know now, I would have recognized. He was substituting words. He was saying, let's go to the foremost.
Let's go to the foremost? Was that the market?
It meant the safe way.
Oh,
he
really?
was substituting. He couldn't think of the word, so he would substitute. So if someone hears their loved one doing that a lot, you know, that was a sign. Also his walking. They've discovered that different walking styles are one of the first signs of dementia. Like
Really?
he would follow behind me instead of walking next to me. And it would sort of bother me, why are you walking behind me?
Sure.
I think he needed to have, you know, something in front of him to follow. But there were different things, like he couldn't write checks, for instance, and he was always extremely good with finances, and he had me write the checks.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, is losing the ability to work with numbers, and those were signs that if I had known then, but I thought, oh, this is aging, or
Sure.
you know, he's becoming frailer. But
So if you know, knowing that perhaps mom has a great signature, if it changes considerably, would that be a sign too?
well, normal aging, actually, your writing changes. They've
Okay.
done studies on that. And writing can become messier, but perhaps if they don't sign the whole name
Uh-huh.
or don't remember their name, that's different.
I want to go through 10 signs. It's 10 warning signs.
10
okay,
warning
and we'll go
signs.
through them like that.
Okay.
Memory loss that disrupts daily life. You mentioned some challenges in planning or solving problems.
Yes. If you know, this is the money thing that we talked about, that they lose the ability to deal with numbers, like
Oh, yeah.
balancing a checkbook. They can't balance a checkbook anymore. Normal aging would be that you forget, you know, a number, or you forget to pay a bill. That would be normal. But not paying bills for months on end, not being able to balance a checkbook, whereas before you could. Yeah.
Difficulty completing familiar tasks,
Yes.
like brushing teeth and stuff.
Brushing teeth, driving to the store, favorite places. Like if you get lost driving, if you find your loved one is driving somewhere where, you know, they used to go all the time and they get lost and can't
Yeah.
find their way, that's a sign.
Confusion.
Confusion with time or place, that would be not remembering your where you're going or where you are, what year it is,
But see,
what season it is.
I don't know if I'm early diagnosis on anything, but sometimes I walk into a room and I forget why I went.
And that's normal. That's normal. If you park your car, for instance, I've parked at Ala Moana and forgotten where my car is.
Sure.
That's normal. But if you forget where you are, or forget how to get back, or how to retrace the steps at all, you know, that could be a sign.
Okay. Okay, trouble understanding visual images.
Yes. Sometimes with dementia, some of the first signs are visual. They've done studies on that too. Dimensions, like if somebody has dementia, sometimes if the floor is black, they think it's a hole, for instance. That's an example. Yeah.
Speaking or writing, new problems with words.
New problems with speaking or writing. They can substitute the words, like I mentioned. They have trouble writing.
You know, obviously misplacing things. But that's aging too, right?
That's normal. All of us lose things every day, but sometimes if somebody has dementia, they'll hide something in their shoe. Like my father, he was limping one day and I couldn't figure out what it was, and when we took his shoes off, he had his wallet in one of his shoes.
Wow.
And they put things in the closet. They put things in places you normally wouldn't put things.
What would decreased or poor judgment mean with in terms of warning signs?
Well, on some of your previous shows, you've had the telemarketing problem.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get those calls who have dementia, and they end up giving a lot of their money away. Some of us have poor judgment, you know, on a daily basis, but if this is ongoing,
I see.
giving money away needlessly, that would be a sign.
A couple of more. Did your dad withdraw a lot?
Yeah, it was different. He didn't get the paper. The paper was being delivered to his front door, and he stopped picking it up. And the neighbors in Florida said that the papers are accumulating at his front door.
Wow. And finally, changes in mood and personality.
And that's a big one. In Hawaii, we have a big lack in geriatric psychiatric services for people who have, you know, behavioral problems. And I know a lot of people do, and it's a huge burden on the family to deal with somebody whose behavior and mood changes. But often, if they don't know what the diagnosis is, this is the importance of early detection and diagnosis, they think that they're doing it on purpose. The important thing is if a loved one of yours begins to have like anxiety or fear or aggression, you should get a diagnosis, because it could be the normal signs of dementia rather than doing things on purpose that are irritating.
We got a couple of minutes left on our talk story here. How long was your journey with your dad?
About 8 years.
About 8 years.
From beginning until end of life.
Wow. And you saw the steady...
I did. And, you know, he did it with great dignity.
Yeah.
But there are issues for end-of-life care for people with dementia as well. And I think making their lives as comfortable as possible, as stress-free as possible,
Yeah.
and hopefully to remain in the home if they can, in familiar environments, with love, a lot of love. I think that they don't lose emotion. They might lose their thinking capability, but he was still capable of loving. And I think that's important to know, that a person is a human being,
Yeah.
and they should be treated with dignity and respect
Oh,
until the end of life.
For people like yourself, where can we call?
Alzheimer's Association Aloha Chapter,
Okay.
591-2771 is the Oahu number.
591-2771, okay.
And everything you need to know about all of this would be on the National Alzheimer's website.
And our friends on the neighbor islands, they can call.
They have their own county reps,
Okay.
which are, there's a toll-free number, I don't know it offhand.
That's okay, we'll get it. We'll get it. Well, anything in closing you'd like to add? You've been so forthcoming and honest with your journey.
I just want to commend the caregivers out there, and also the people with dementia, and encourage everyone to talk about this disease and come forward, and it's not something to hide in the closet, and to please try to get a diagnosis if you're worried about memory loss for yourself or your loved one.
Oh, thank you so much, Jody, for joining us. Yeah,
Thank you.
really appreciate that.
Thank you.
She's shared her personal insights as a caregiver and as a part of the state plan on Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. This is Kupuna Power. Up next, Kupuna Power revisits Lay of Stars 2014, which inducted Don Ho into the Hawaiian Music Hall of Fame. But first, what broadcast station got its start at the Hilton Hawaiian Village?
The Hawaiian Music Hall of Fame is a 501c3 not-for-profit, and our mission is to promote, perpetuate, and preserve Hawaiian music and hula by celebrating the achievements of significant individuals as well as groups. And so in that regard, every year we have a ceremony, induction ceremony, combination concert, featuring the latest class of inductees. The event is, just in terms of the response of the audience, so well received that it is a thrill and frankly an honor to be able to produce this event every year. But it is a relatively small part of what we do. We have an educational program that are in 4th and 5th grades in both public schools and private schools. As you know, music education has been cut back or even eliminated. So we have commissioned a curriculum based on the role of composers, and our students learn Hawaiian language, music, theory, bel canto singing, and they perform at the end of their semester with the Royal Hawaiian Band. We have exhibits on 2 islands, right here in Waikiki at the Waikiki Beach Walk, at the Ala Moana Shopping Center at the Satellite City Hall, and we have exhibits in Hilo at the Lyman Museum. And in addition to Lay of Stars, our other signature event is Kahimeniana, a singing competition at the Hawaii Theater. It will be coming up on August 28th this year. That will be in its 30th year. Our organization has only been around for 20, but we hope that everyone who had a chance to watch this evening will embrace the mission like we did and become supporting members of the Hawaiian Music Hall of Fame. Even if you don't speak Hawaiian, you can enjoy Hawaiian music just because of its just sheer aesthetic beauty, the melody, the harmony, the character of Hawaiian music. But on the other hand, should you know the language and some of the poetry, it's like an onion. You have a whole nother layer to discover. And then if you understand the poetry and know something about the background of that song, you can understand that it isn't direct. And there are several layers of meaning that are subtle and striking in its beauty. So when I think of music, I kind of feel like Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington said there are 2 types of music, good and the other kind. For myself, I think Hawaiian music is good. Not only is it music on a just sort of a harmonic or melodic level, it is also documentation of a culture, and it celebrates real people, real families, and the type of show that we had this evening is exactly the kind of thing that we want to produce for Hawaiian music.
I'd like to thank the Hawaiian Music Hall of Fame for asking me to accept this award on behalf of Don. And I'd also like to acknowledge that his son, Dwight Ho, and his wife, Lydia, are here in the audience today. I'm thrilled that the foundation recognized the wonderful gifts that Don had to share with the world. Besides his intoxicating voice, Don was a master at holding an audience in the palm of his hands. He knew how to connect with them, how to touch their hearts, how to make their dreams come true. But most importantly, he made them feel like they were his best friend. For 26 years, I was fortunate enough to work by Don's side, with him in the front row, watching him in action. He often would tell me that the best part of his day was going to work and being on stage, making people happy. Today, I believe, as Don is looking down from above, watching us celebrate his induction to the Hawaiian Music Hall of Fame, he feels blessed and honored that you have recognized what he loved to do the most: touch people's hearts. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a nice welcome for Taimane?
Before I start, I just wanted to let you know this is the song I used to play every night on his stage. I would call it Led Zeppelin meets Beethoven. So I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. I was about 12 years old, and Angel, a performer in Uncle Don Ho's show, he saw me and invited me to play for Don Ho at his restaurant at Aloha Tower. So he invited me and he's like, "Come here, honey, come play a song." So I played, played my heart out, and he invited me to play in his show. He actually started my career off at the age of 13 as a professional musician. So huge mahalo to Don Ho and the family and Hame.
So without further vala'aunis on my part, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce a very special individual. This individual needs no introduction because he has helped place Hawaii on the map as far as entertainment is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the everlasting Mr. Don Ho!
Right on, brother. How about a nice hand for the boy? My over there. Don't mind me, I get my cell phone there back in the day. Hang on. Hello, Danny. Yeah, tell the kids stop playing in the back here, getting ready for a show. Tell her I'll get ready for a number. Okay, bye. Here we go, gang. Tiny Babu. Make me happy, make me feel well. Daddy Babu, make me warm all over with a feeling, I'm gonna love you till the end of time. Despite you go. Now he's the golden moon. He's the silvery sea. That's how I tell if you guys would drink too much. Tiny bubble. You know, I've been singing that song forever and a day. Wherever I go, people want to hear Tiny Bubble. Tiny Bubble. I hate that song. And from the way you get sing, sound like you hate that song too, eh? Just to let my fans know, I sing that song twice in my show. Once at the beginning, and then one more time at the end, in case you forgot, I sang them at the beginning. Anyway, I just wanted to take this opportunity and propose a toast. Everybody grab your water. Come on, boy, how about a nice hand for my stage hand over here? Be with 42 years. Yeah, thank you, boy. Shimizu. Oh, your glasses up, tiny bubble. I say Okole, you say Maluna. Okole. Jiggle mom, bottoms up, gangy. Ooh, the water tastes good. Mahalo, thank you guys for coming. Again, is down. Normally I get my stage hand, but Angel Pablo wasn't available tonight, so I gotta do everything myself. Hang on, everybody. Dan, how you, Dan? You looking good. Well, you look familiar. Hey, you look more familiar. Wow. And I see everybody over here. You see Danny Bubbles. Everybody make one toast. I made one. You make one toast to everybody, but nobody will toast you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's toast Mr. Dan Ho with your left glasses up, please. We're going to do a Filipino Japanese toast. You follow after me. Mabuhay Banzai! Mabuhay Banzai! Mabuhay. Gotta go back to it. I'll see you later, ladies. That's before days when I used to drink. When I used to drink right there. Anyway, gang. What a nice hand for Mr. James Roche, my partner, ladies and gentlemen. Don't mind, just break out of character. We just wanted to give a debt of gratitude not only to Hamil, of course, Pops, who started our careers out many, many years ago, but I just wanted to say the thing about this man, it wasn't about the Hawaiian race or the white or the black race. It was about the human race with this man. He loved people. He loved people, and he knew how to entertain them, on them. He's the only entertainer that I knew would take an hour, 2 hours just to sign autographs after his show until the last person left. And for that, we learned so much. In fact, we use a lot of his characteristics that he used in his show, use it in our show. So we just wanted to thank you folks for coming out to honor him. The Hawaii Music Awards, thank you for honoring this man. Jimmy?
Just thank you for the opportunity to come here and pay tribute to a man who's given a lot more than we could ever repay. So thank you so much for indulging us with comedy here in Hawaii. We are the Bradas. Mahalo.
Don Ho left us many years ago, but he left a big impact. And amongst the things that we thought of doing this year is to get a Don Ho impersonator. Well, who better than Tony Silva, who is related to Don by blood, who was in Don's show, and frankly, he channels the old man. No one does it better. If you were in the room tonight, and I made it a point to get into a place where I could watch what they were doing, it was like Don was there. He moves, he speaks in that very slow cadence, almost a sing-song cadence, with that laid-back Beach Boy attitude. That really is the signature of, for Hawaii, just post-statehood. More than anyone else, when you think about it, Don Ho's music, the lyrics of Kui Lee, was the exciting sound and the soundtrack of a generation. That Don Ho segment was something that I wish I could see again and again.
Well, professionally, his motto was be ready for anything. He didn't like doing the same show night in and night out. He wanted to change it up every night. So be ready for anything was his motto. And having said that, that's kind of like how we operate. We're ready for anything at any given time. You could drop it on us, and we're ready to make it a show. And so he'd call on us, and we're busy. We're in a Kahiko number, but he's calling out for a jazz number. So he wants us to come out and perform that jazz number in our Kahiko outfit. That was Don Ho.
Tony Silva, in portraying Don Ho himself, was chicken skin. It was like he was standing right in front of us, the mannerisms and everything. And that's what we want the people to remember, right? And then having the audience be able to sing along, the tiny bubbles. I mean, that just brought everything back like it was just yesterday. That's what we want to capture. That's what's important.
I never sang on stage. How many people has he sung in front of? The whole world. He would share the stage with a little Hapahaole boy from Waipahu. Hey boy, bring the boy on stage. Who's this? Jimmy, come over here. We're going to sing a song for the people over here. And I would get to perform for thousands of people every single night to practice my craft. And I owe that to Don.
I am part of a generation that considered Don's music as quiche. It's commercial, it's not a great image in Waikiki kind of stuff. But then I thought about when I was growing up, every family had Kuili and Don Ho records in the living room, in the house. And when they performed tonight, I was reminded of, you know what, there was a genuine core to what Don was doing. Don could not have been as successful as he was if there wasn't a genuine core to his act.
In our act, Tony plays Don Ho. We just kind of came up with tonight that maybe the both of us should try to play Don Ho just to kind of throw it for a little bit. But it's out of respect. It's an homage. It's saying, hey, don't forget about this guy. This guy did a lot of good things for a lot of good entertainers and for a lot of people that weren't even related to entertainment or had nothing to do with anything. Like Tony said, you know, he was a very people person, and if he could help, that's what he would be. That's what he would be. He would be there for you.
What broadcast station got its start at the Hilton Hawaiian Village? The answer is KHVH. The call letters are the initials of the hotel's original name, Kaiser Hawaiian Village Hotel. There you have it. Remember, Alzheimer's is most treatable when detected early, and in 9% of cases, reversible. I'm Brickwood Galuteria. Join me next week for another episode of Kupuna Power. Aloha.